An indestructible mailbox, that's what a company is selling. We'll see if it stays together as we challenge its claim that it will survive an explosion and the weight of a bulldozer. I'll show you an emergency electronic system for elderly and disabled people that could save their lives. You'll see how common sense can prevent unnecessary deaths in boating accidents. More confusing and amusing labels and ads, and we'll put a Timex and a Casio G-Shock watch to the ultimate test of time. All this right here on... Welcome to Fight Back, and I'm standing in front of a nearly 40,000-pound Caterpillar tractor. And I might get a chance to ride it today because of this letter that I received from Raphael Crassa, who lives in Newton, Maine. And here's what Raphael writes. I'd like to present you with an opportunity to drive a bulldozer. I saw an ad for the deluxe stainless steel mailbox in a mail order catalog and began to wonder if their claim is true. You always say, when in doubt, check it out. Well, Raphael, let's do that. Let's check that out. The ad shows a man installing a brand new deluxe stainless steel mailbox and claims it's the ultimate mailbox, absolutely indestructible. 2 exploding M80s, both at once, didn't faze this mailbox. It withstood the force of being run over by a 31,000-pound Caterpillar bulldozer. All this for $200. $200 seemed pretty expensive for a mailbox, but we sent for one anyway. The question now is, will this mailbox withstand the force of 2 charges of M80s and also a 40,000-pound Caterpillar tractor? But I have to give you a word of warning. These M80s are illegal fireworks. They can't be sold. So you know what I had to do? I had to find a specialist. What I did is I brought in pyrotechnician John Eggert, who's with Court Wizard Special Effects in Anaheim, California. And what he's going to do is he's going to set them off for us. John, thank you and have a blast. A pyrotechnician's objective on a dangerous demonstration like this is to make sure that nobody gets hurt. John went right to work. One hazard he noticed right away was the metal peg stop for the flag. Because this could blow out like a bullet from the force of the explosion, he removed it. John next prepared the 2 M80s. He had them previously taped together so they would both detonate or blow up at the same time. He then wired them to his battery charger. This was so we could all stand well back from the blast when they were detonated. The M80s were placed carefully, well inside the mailbox, and it was secured with a strong padlock. But I thought, as long as we're going to have a blast, why not check out our Timex and Casio watches at the same time? John was a little taken aback, but I insisted. These same watches had already resisted the force of being hit by a hockey stick and dropped from a helicopter on previous challenges, so why not also include them on this test? The watches were also locked in, placed neatly next to our own 2 M80s. John was ready to go. He was satisfied that everything was in place. We all stood several hundred feet back as the countdown started. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It looks like it did pretty well. The lock was blown off, and the only other damage we could see was that the door was bent, and that probably could be straightened out. But will this ultimate mailbox now withstand the force of that 20-ton Caterpillar bulldozer? We'll find out about that and what happened to our 2 watches after this break. We've been challenging the strength of the deluxe, indestructible $200 mailbox by first blasting it with 2 M80s. The lock was blown off and the door was bent, but otherwise it withstood the punishment so far. Now for test number 2, driving over it with a 20-ton Caterpillar bulldozer. Operator Kenny Dyer set about half the weight of this huge machine gently on top of the box. And so far, it's still holding under the strain. But now, let's drive over it. We did everything we possibly could to save that mailbox. We even brought in the noted international specialist in mailbox survival, Dr. Webley Freon. Dr. Freon, is there any hope that we can bring this mailbox back to use? And there goes another product off to its just reward. But you know, that mailbox did take a lot of punishment before it folded. And if you live in an area where there is a lot of mailbox vandalism, then you might like one like this. You might want to spend the $200. But it is not indestructible. Now let's have a change of pace and get to something real serious. Let's talk about how medical technology is saving lives. I'm at the St. Joseph's Hospital Medical Center in Burbank, California. It is one of many hospitals across the United States that has a system that allows elderly and disabled people to live at home without round-the-clock nursing or family care. It is an electronic emergency link to the outside world. If Mary Leslie needs help, she can just press the Lifeline button she wears around her neck. That sends a signal to a base unit connected to her telephone. The machine automatically dials a special phone number at a nearby hospital, which sets off an alarm in the emergency room. A nurse then calls Mary at home to see if she's okay.
Hi, Mary. This is St. Joseph Medical Center. How can we help you?
If they call and they don't get any answer at the home, the subscriber's home, then they move to a list of responders that have been provided to us and call and ask them to go over and check to see what the problem is.
The Lifeline unit also has a timer which activates an alarm if the subscriber fails to check in twice a day.
If someone has not pushed the reset button, say in the morning and in the evening, which is what we ask them to do, or if they have not made a telephone call or received one, that will also reset the timing device. It sends an emergency code in just as if it were the button being pushed in a real help-needed situation.
The computerized service offered by emergency response systems is a bit more sophisticated and more expensive than Lifeline's. The base unit can send separate alarms for police, fire, or medical emergency. It also contains a speaker and microphone, which allows the ERS operator to talk to the subscriber, even if he or she can't get to the phone.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
Okay, I can hear you loud and clear too. Thank you very much.
And they never have to worry about getting to the telephone. So they press the button, they hear our voice come out of this speaker, we determine the problem and send out the authorities.
Now I feel very comfortable, and I feel that I am not alone, and that I have someone that I can call in an emergency, whatever it is.
This little box and the little pendant that they wear around their neck enables them to live in their home independently, and everyone, including their family, have the peace of mind knowing that they're doing well.
But how much does this cost? Leased systems may cost as little as $15 a month for Lifeline and up to $25 or more per month plus installation for the ERS system with optional services. Other companies sell complete systems for between $200 and $1,000 depending on their features. For those who cannot afford the monthly subscription fee, there are grants and discounts available through cooperating hospitals, local government, and senior citizen agencies. Compared to the cost of in-home nursing care, this investment in independent living is inexpensive at any price. And we'll be right back after this break. What a great way to spend the day at a marina with the boats and the water and the clear air. It just makes you feel so good. But we also have our consumer horror file with it, and it's filled with confusing and amusing labels and ads sent in by you, our viewers. And let's get to some right here. The first one comes from B. Strickland, who lives in Chula Vista, California. Thought you might be interested in this misplaced word advertisement that appeared in a Long's drugstore flyer. Bansect flea and tick for killer dogs and cats. I would buy some, writes B, but I haven't come across any killer dogs or cats in my neighborhood. Joseph Peschman, who lives in New Berlin, Wisconsin, writes, please read the enclosed recipe and advise where I can find a loaf pan this big. It's a recipe for bran date bread on the Nabisco shredded wheat and bran cereal box. It says, pour ingredients into a 9-foot by 5-foot by 3-foot loaf pan. Joseph goes on to ask, where will I find an oven large enough to bake it in? Good question. Well, Joseph, Karen Brelisford of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, may have found the answer. I couldn't resist sending this clipping in when I discovered that Crazy Kelly's, that's a store, was selling giant Toshiba microwave ovens, which were 16 cubic feet. I guess instead of cooking a roast, she writes, you just put the whole cow in. Well, Karen, if you find one, Norman Knab of Cheektowaga, New York, may have just found the right garnish for this concoction. He sends the enclosed ad from the weekly paper of Bell's grocery chain. They're offering a 12-pound, 4-ounce bottle of Heinz catsup for only 89 cents. Norman says, try and lift that one if you can. Here's a lucky ad sent to me by Mrs. James Taylor of Alton, Illinois. It promises that you can shout bingo more often when you take your genuine green rabbit's foot to bingo. But when you read the ad further, it says, this special green rabbit's foot is not available anyplace at any price. Mrs. Taylor writes, I'm confused. It's simple, Mrs. Taylor. Lucky green rabbit's feet aren't available because there is no such thing as a green rabbit.
Say, David, that is lucky. For me, that is.
More for you in the mornings. Boasts this announcement, which appeared in Trudy Meager's Racine, Wisconsin newspaper. According to Hardee's Restaurant, their special coupon is good for 1 cup of coffee and 1 cinnamon raisin. Trudy asks, is that really supposed to fill you up for a hard day's work? And she adds, would you believe Hardee's slogan is, we're out to win you over? Sorry, Hardee, but your Hardee breakfast won't even satisfy Ms. Meager. I'll bet most of you are sitting there just breathless, waiting to find out the answers, and here they are. First, we call the Ann Howard Company the advertisers of the genuine green rabbit's foot. They're in Freeport, New York. We wanted to find out why it is not available anywhere at any price, and they said, and this is a quote, the company officially does not want to comment on the ad, period. Maybe they felt it was bad luck, who knows? The flea and tick treatment for killer dogs and cats, the extra-large cooking pan, the oven, and the catsup bottles were all simply printing goof-ups. As a matter of fact, when we brought this mistake made on the box to the Nabisco company, it was the first time that they had heard about it, and they're going to change the packaging. However, 1 cinnamon raisin offered at Hardee's in Racine, Wisconsin, was not a mistake. According to Hardee's, when you ask for 1 cinnamon raisin, they know automatically you mean a cinnamon raisin biscuit. Now, I hope that clears up the confusion, but if you find a confusing label or ad or something you want us to check out, then send it to us. And if we use it on the show, we'll send you a Fight Back t-shirt and a copy of our theme. Do I have time for just one more letter? Yeah! Here it is, folks, previously selected from our horror file. This one comes from Laura Owen, who lives in Sturgis, Kentucky. She sends us a clipping from the Sturgis News in Sturgis, and it says, for sale, 1 husband will sell cheap. Well, according to Steve Catlett, who's the head of the classified ad department at the Sturgis News, the woman who placed the ad was just pulling a prank on her husband. He is not for sale. How many calls did she get? We tried to reach the lady who placed the ad, but her phone just kept ringing. Who knows? Maybe she did sell her husband after all. When you look around at all the beautiful boats in this marina, all you can think about is just relaxing and having a wonderful time. But are you aware that 1,200 people die in boating accidents every year in this country? And many of those deaths are really unnecessary. Most of those victims might have been saved simply if they had been wearing life jackets. But it seems that boaters have all sorts of excuses for not putting them on. They're either bulky or uncomfortable, they're not very fashionable, and they interfere maybe with getting a tan. Some people apparently even feel that it's just not macho to wear a life vest. And as we were taping this intro, a boat turned over right here in the harbor. Fortunately, as you can see, the people on that boat had life jackets. And when the boat was righted, everything was okay. Most boat owners have life jackets aboard. They use them for seat cushions and pillows, even for boat fenders. Anything and everything but what they were designed for, to save lives in an emergency. Some boaters believe they're such good swimmers they can always take care of themselves in the water. What they forget is that they may be unconscious when they hit the water. They may also be unprepared for the shock of being thrown into cold ocean or lake water.
What happens is, and if you've ever jumped into cold water yourself, you know it, you go, and if you're submerged when you do that, you catch a lung full of water, you destroy your buoyancy, and you continue your voyage to the bottom. You're not going to be able to just bob right up and casually swim to wherever you're going.
Not all life jackets are alike. Some are not designed for rough waters. Others offer only minimal buoyancy.
Well, the most familiar jacket is the Type 3, which is more of a ski vest. Face down in the water, it will not turn you over. It will just give you some minimum buoyancy to hold you up. If that jacket isn't properly fit, when you go into the water, it's possible to lose the jacket on entrance. There are some new jackets that are coming on the market now that are a lot more comfortable. They're the Type 5 hybrid jacket. They're comfortable to wear. Then after you enter the water, you'll have some type of an inflating device, whether it be manually by blowing it up or by having an automatic inflator through the CO2 cartridges.
Brett Meyer, our student volunteer, jumped into the water again, this time wearing a Type 1 life jacket. Even when he tried to float face down, the jacket turned him over and held his face up out of the water. Obviously, there's more to choosing a life jacket than just the price.
Well, whenever you buy a life jacket, you want to be sure and open the jacket up and read the label on the inside. It will tell you the type of the jacket, the buoyancy, and if it is a Coast Guard approved life jacket.
I think it's easy to figure out why people don't wear life jackets. Many motorcyclists won't wear helmets even though they can save their lives. And look at how long it's taken for people just to buckle up when they get in their cars. People take chances with their lives because for some silly reason they want to appear either unafraid, stylish, or they're just plain lazy. But what really gets to me is when I see parents letting their kids walk around boat decks without life jackets. Children should wear life jackets, and they should have them in their correct size. And you shouldn't just nag them to put on their vests. Why not set an example and wear one yourself? There are worse things than coming home from a weekend on the water without an all-over tan. 1,200 people last year never came home at all. And we'll be right back after this break. We're just about out of time, but you're probably wondering what happened to that Casio G-Shock and the Timex watch. At the beginning of the show, we took a Timex and a Casio G-Shock watch. These two watches had already been hit by hockey sticks and dropped from a helicopter. We placed them in a stainless steel mailbox next to two M80s. We then locked them in and set off the blast. The door was blown open, and one of the watches, the Casio G-Shock, was actually blown against the door and was found a few feet away. Remarkably, the Timex was still inside the mailbox. And here they are. The Casio G-Shock and the Timex are still running. I guess they took a blasting and they kept on lasting. And as I always say, stay aware and informed and fight back and don't let anyone rip you off. If you'd like to write to Fight Back, here's our address. Fight Back, Burbank, California, 91523.
Stand up and hold your ground.